Walker, Highway Superintendent, and Ed Brennan, Building Maintenance. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
So how's that building maintenance going? Like, how's the position been? That would be my first question.
It is going well.
Yeah.
What
you been up to? Yeah.
We've been up to scheduling anything from the fire extinguisher inspections this past winter to hanging brackets on the walls, shelving in the senior center, a lot of just miscellaneous projects that have come up, and those projects are being completed, I feel, in a timely fashion within a week or so, depending on how precedent they are and if there are materials needed for it. Everyone knows that finding materials now with the whole thing going on is hard to find, but we're doing the best we can.
What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, this came up a little while back. I mean, he wants to switch over to the highway,
Okay.
which turns into a whole thing because then we gotta go back into the hiring. So that's why I had emailed a little bit back and forth with. We had to officially get him switched over, so that's why a lot of this stuff is still up in the air. If you guys were okay with him switching over to highway, he talked to me and he wants to learn a little more about running the equipment and things like that on the highway side of things. And we have an opening anyways. So that's what brought everything forward. I've been back and forth a little bit because I just haven't, I mean, we leave the garage at 6 in the morning, we come back at 4:30 every day. The only thing that I would like to see, or that I was proposing, that I discussed with Andrea in emails back and forth, was if we could make, we'll take care of the maintenance, but make all our guys highway department maintenance. Because there's several times that we got other guys that have professions in there that like to build things, that like to do things that are a little maybe over and above what Ed or anybody else could do. And we got all different variety of things. So if it's worded that we're all maintenance people, the maintenance will still get handled. The money can stay separate. When the guy works for the maintenance, whoever it might be, whether it be Ed, whoever we have go do it, whether it's even myself, that person, then they write their time down, which we do anyways for the maintenance now. We do it for all the highway stuff as well. So that money can stay separate. We're not touching it, but if somebody goes and does maintenance for, say, 4 hours or a whole day or 2 days or 3 days, it's paid out of the maintenance budget account instead of the highway line item account. Back in 2017, we've always had 5 highway full-time. We basically have 4 with me now. We had, when the maintenance position came on board was put under the highway and back and forth of everything, that basically gave 5.5 people to the highway, saying half maintenance or 3/4 maintenance, quarter, however you want to do it. So what I was looking at doing was just not adding a highway guy, actually replacing the position that's already there. I'm not creating a new position by any means, because we've always had 5 people. In 2017, when one of my employees gave us notice, we hired another foreman. So we were paying basically 2 foremen, one to learn from the other one. And at that point in time, there was a big discussion because people were talking about leaving because they were underpaid. We were gonna just not hire that position of the 5th person and break some of that money up. We still had the maintenance, so we still had 5 people at the highway. And we were gonna give the 3 other people on the highway department raises. Nobody ever got a raise. Nothing ever got done with that. It never moved forward. And that's a little bit of the reason why some of the people have left. They were promised something like back in 2017, maybe 18. So all I'm proposing now, and that's what, when Andrea and I spoke in the email about, it says maintenance, truck driver, laborer. I don't think we're creating any type of position. I didn't know if we could form it where it says everybody's maintenance, truck driver, laborers.
So I think it was last finance committee season, we wanted to do something with the maintenance position. I forget what it was exactly, but we all came to a resolution and we moved on. So what exactly would that mean in terms of line items and budgeting? That wouldn't change anything though, would it?
You voted a maintenance position line item,
Okay.
funding position.
It's not rolled into the highway wages.
Okay.
So there is a line item, because
So-
it's tied to it's tied to a town meeting vote, creating the maintenance position.
Okay, so when it comes to what Tom is saying then, is that we can still have that line item, but the individuals who do maintenance work, that has to be documented correctly.
Well, I'm just warning you to be careful, because you have a vote from a town meeting that created a position and created funding expressly for one full-time staff position whose responsibilities include maintenance, upkeep, handling of town-owned buildings, and further appropriated amounts for that specific thing. So I'm honestly not sure how much you're twisting it by now saying we're not taking up position, we're giving it to 5 positions. I'm not saying you can't do this, but I'm just questioning whether this needs to be done under town meeting. You gotta change something. You have a town meeting vote instructing you, so we need to be careful that you.
So how is full-time interpreted? One person working full-time, or the position being filled at a full-time by different individuals?
Well, I mean, you can read the language of the vote. I mean, the vote says that the town raise and appropriate the sum of, this was 1999, $29,100 to fund the salary of one full-time staff position.
Okay.
So,
Well, isn't Tom saying that the salaries of the positions are not gonna change, but he wants the title, or, right?
Correct.
but you
Yeah,
have what you have, that's what we're just discussing, how to work this, because you have a
Mm-hmm.
line item that says building maintenance, and that's the salary. And then you have highway wages, and that's a whole nother line item, and it incorporates all of the highway workers. So
Mm-hmm.
you're taking a town meeting vote that said fund a maintenance position, and here's the line item, and now saying, oh, well, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're gonna fund all of the positions when they do maintenance. I'm just
with
I'm
the
just
same,
worried
with
because
the
I know that
same
you-
funding, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes, there are people who are purists, and this is what you voted, and if you want to have another highway position, the select board can say, we create another highway position. I mean, you've got the ability to do that in a sense. The problem is funding it.
Do we have a town meeting coming up in November, or are we not set yet on that?
We are not set on the date yet, and
Okay.
we'd have to be concerned with where you're going to appropriate that funding from. Right
Well-
now, I'm not sure. We have a lot of work to do at that meeting that may not be too much budget-based, because I don't know if I'll have free cash.
Okay.
So you could hold out to do that, but I just don't know if I'll have free cash in November.
Instead of a line item like Tommy wants, well, if I'm right, you have right now, you have positions for 5 highway workers, right? But you have one open?
Since I started in 2002, so we're not even creating a highway position.
Right.
That's,
But if we move the maintenance position over to the highway and then leave appropriated money there, we word it so that we're appropriating money for maintenance that will be taken from out of this maintenance fund to cover, as Ed works 4 hours this week. It comes out of that maintenance.
I don't know how I'm gonna budget that, that's all I'm saying, because it's easy to say a full-time person is this many hours. I mean, we just have to think about the logistics of doing that, because it's just very different
Or
when
we
we're funding
eliminate-
by
well, I'm
position.
not sure why the budget would have to change, because it's already budgeted for $35,000 a year. So it's actually gonna be a savings in the long run at the end of the year if say you only worked 200 hours.
Right, but then the rest of the time for that full-time person has to come out of some line item. And the way I do the budget is I actually put everybody's salaries in and then an estimated overtime, and that computes that budget. I don't know where you're gonna make up the difference in funding. I don't wanna
I've already
over,
been paying for it out of my budget over all these years, that when they work for highway.
no. They have no, they don't. He has a flat salary and he's paid out of that
got
salary.
changed a couple of years ago, Andrea. with this whole accounting thing, that line item,
For overtime maybe, but
not for over, when Ed or Sam or Jeremy worked on highway, they always got paid out of highway since the position was created.
Well, that's news to me because that's not how it's budgeted. That's not how it's voted at town
I've
meeting.
always had money in my budget when they work chapter 90, when they work highway.
Well,
It
chapter
goes
90 is not
actually
in the
down in the
budget.
accountant on my main payroll sheet. I have line items all broke down, maintenance, cemetery, because like when we work the cemetery, some of our salaries come out of cemetery, some come out of maintenance, some come out of highway. So whoever I send, or whoever might work, whether it's on overtime or even during the week, it's all broken my main tally sheet that goes to the accountant. I've had that since I've taken the maintenance over.
Well, all I'm just gonna say is there is a fully funded for every hour that Ed would potentially work in a year line item under building maintenance. And that's the way it was budgeted. So I don't know how it's, and when I create the budget now, I put everybody in by name. I put in their grade, their step, their total, and I total all that up. So I don't know how, I mean, maybe we're estimating on overtime and you're just not tapping it all. But I don't know how you would have the funding in the right account number, honestly, to.
So this is something we
to
can figure out
continue.
after, because I want to get to the actual
Yeah.
reason why we're here, because we're already at 6:15. B, you had a question?
What,
So,
a
I don't know.
clarification. So it sounds like there's two actions. One is to appoint Ed to the open highway position. Can we do that, or do we need to
Yes,
have an open?
yes, you should. You should do it as an appointment, and then we can redo his letter because it changes his pay
Okay.
rate and everything.
So that's one, and that I think we can get out of the way, because we're already at 6:15. And my second question is, Tom, did you and Andre, I know you went back and forth via email, did you guys actually meet on this?
No.
Okay. So what I would recommend is, let's do a meeting and then put it on as a future agenda topic to look at a specific proposal. And in the meantime, what I'd like to know is also what the impact is on the financial people, because it all sounds, relatively easy to us, but then over the course of the year, it's like, who's on first, what's on second. And I think we should also consult with the Finance Committee too, because this came up last year. We had a lengthy discussion about it then at multiple points, both among us as well as with the Finance Committee, and then it has implications for the town meeting. So I think it deserves a far lengthier agenda topic. So if we could defer that and actually deal with the appointment so we can move Ed over, that will at least get that accomplished for tonight. That would be my recommendation.
Because Tommy does have an open position on the highway, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so slide him over, it's money that's already appropriated.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
No,
different.
we have a highway position.
Yeah, that's different.
So it leaves that one empty and
Yeah.
so it's not costing us any money.
Right. What we don't have is that fifth employee who he sometimes uses for plowing because we haven't filled the maintenance job. And I've held off filling it because we didn't have tonight's actions.
Okay, so then we should advertise as a
Well,
result
we
of
don't
this.
want to
We don't know
advertise
how
a
to
maintenance
advertise.
position.
That's
That's
what's
what's
turned in this whole
discussion.
discussion.
So as
Okay.
far as hiring a maintenance person, I mean, you're proposing to sort of absorb it into the rest, or sort of have the truck driver labor thing, and just some thoughts that I've been writing down as we go along with this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the reasons we had this dedicated position was so that that person would be responsible as a point contact for things going on within the buildings and take care of certain projects and know what's going on, know what needs to be done. I think if you're spreading that out throughout the whole department, you're not going to get that dedicated knowledge and what we sort of discussed in switching that position over from a town hall position into the highway department. But I think that needs to remain as its own dedicated position, and then you use them if you need them. But I think spreading out those responsibilities is going to sort of take away that dedicated person. I don't know, it's my own opinion on it, but I feel like if you try and spread that out, you're gonna like lose
There's
that.
not a lot to do. That's been the biggest problem. The buildings have been painted. Skip does all. We don't do anything at the fire station to speak of. I mean, they take care of their furnace. They schedule their cleanings. They do it themselves. They do whatever. We take care of the library, the town hall. I take care of my building over there. I think the funness, that's the only reason I brought it up. There isn't enough hours that a maintenance guy, I could go back and I can trace how many hours he's actually done maintenance this year, and it's very little. I mean, yes, we've been shorthanded, but he still has come over for 2 hours and gotten something handled. And like the furnaces are all scheduled, the air conditioners get cleaned in the spring. But a lot of the stuff we've been doing over here, I end up sending a highway guy, like for instance the senior center, he can't move a piano by himself or take things off the wall. So we end up losing a highway guy as well. That was the only reason I had wanted to propose. We end up helping all around, and if there's rooms to be painted, come wintertime when we slow down, 2 guys can come over here and paint the rooms as long as it's in their job descriptions. That's the only reason I'm proposing it the way I'm proposing it. I mean, it's gonna be a lengthy discussion on everything because, I mean, yes, we have 6 buildings, but we don't do anything down in the sewer plant. We don't do anything at the highway garage. My guys do everything that there is to do. It's minimal, I mean, for our building compared to a building like this or the fire station. Like I said, the fire department handles the fire department stuff. And every now and then we go down and help the EMS. We had to help them with a broken door a few weeks ago. But
Should it be that? See, that's something else we should probably look at. Should it be that way though, with the fire department handling their own stuff? I mean, if it's a maintenance type function, that should be under the DPW. I mean, so you guys know if you get a call, like they've been handling something, but they call you or they're not available, like that. That should be a function that maybe they shouldn't be doing when we evaluate some of this stuff. So yeah, I guess a longer discussion that we got to have about all of
For
that. So
sure.
I out of all this though, I'm tired of hearing in my selectman career that, no, this can't be done and this is why. I want to know what we can do to make the results happen. I think that's why we have experts in this town that work. So I'm hoping that we can get this solved. And that's all I got to say about it.
okay,
Shouldn't be a
so-
big thing, you know.
Well, it should be a proposal and it should go through the person who handles personnel. And it should be done in person, and we should spend a good chunk of time on it rather than, a few minutes. I would like to move, though, that we appoint Ed to the highway department. Do we need to do grade and,
Yes, we have a proposal to do
is it on here?
grade 7, step 2.
Where is that?
It may not be on.
Oh, okay, grade 7.
Step 2.
Okay,
Is that
so,
by top? Grade 7,
That's
step
what you
2?
recommended.
okay, so
Yeah,
per,
it was a 2
okay.
or 3, I don't remember off the top of my
Okay,
head.
so per the recommendation, I move
You can
that,
check, but I'm pretty sure that I took your email.
I move that we appoint
that's fine with
Ed
you,
Brennan
right?
to the,
Yes.
Okay.
hello? Okay. Help me craft the motion, if you would.
Just appoint him.
I'm moving that we appoint Ed Brennan to the open highway driver laborer position from the current maintenance position at grade 7, step 2, which is $21.43 an hour. There.
With an efficacy of immediately.
Oh, yeah, effective,
It's grade 7, step 2. We'll get the right number.
effective
Immediately.
We have it right here. Yeah, you can.
immediately, or do you need it on a pay period?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Saturday.
Okay, effective
I'll second
immediately.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is this what you want, Ed?
Yes, and I mean, until the wording and the maintenance aspect is taken care of, I still don't have a problem being the main contact.
Okay.
Just part of the problem right now is with being shorthanded. I have the licenses, I want to learn more about the equipment, and if we're up working, up on the mountain, and something happens that I didn't schedule that we're not aware of, and I'm driving a truck and another guy is, and we got 2 cops on details, and all of a sudden, something happens down here that, if I can just give a key to one of the other guys quickly and be like, hey, can you just run down because I'm hauling material, we're paying cops, we got to get this job done. We're taking me away, driving a dump truck all the way from the mountain down to the town hall
Gotcha.
to do something. So if we had, if it's spread out between all of us and whatever job comes up in the meantime that we're comfortable doing, then I feel like we could all do the maintenance.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem still being the direct point of contact.
Gotcha.
And
And-
scheduling, so
And
I know stuff.
we
is gonna
very
come up.
much appreciate that. I think what we need to do is just make sure that we get the appointment motion through. So that takes care of you as an individual employee, and that's our first priority. And then the larger proposal, so we've heard everything, and we want to explore this a little bit more. It's a little bit more complicated than, and it has a history, as you've heard. So we just want to make sure that we allot enough time in the agenda for that. Yeah. So I think
Well, and I think we should take into consideration, and out of respect for Tom, he knows what his department needs. You know, I mean, it's his department, and whatever works best for you.
Absolutely.
And
But
then
we're
we just got to cut through the red tape in this building to get you what you need.
All right, we're still in further discussion about the appointment. Any further discussion directly about the changeover? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
All right, so we'll look forward
Thank you,
to a
gentlemen.
future agenda item
We've got sewer, it's not.
to discuss the rest.
Oh, right. Right into sewer.
Okay.
All right, so we'll
Yeah,
move into
See
the
you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks for
you,
your
Ed.
time.
You got it.
6:15 Sewer Commission update. Or 6:25.
Do tell.
So, if I may,
Go ahead.
I asked for this agenda item because it's been a while since I've heard about what's going on at the sewer plant and stuff. So I just wanted to just get an update from you and just want to know how things are going with the commission, how things are going down at the sewer plant, how Isaac's doing, stuff like that. And I figured through a select board meeting would be the best way to get this accomplished. So as you are both the commissioners, I'd like to just know what's going on and how things are doing.
You want to handle this?
You can handle it, you're in charge of the sewer.
Who's the chair?
We don't really have one because we haven't had a full.
Hang on one second, go ahead, B.
I was just curious who the chair was. I think that was one of the questions from the last
Yeah, who is
meeting.
the chair?
He
We
doesn't
don't
have
really have
one.
one.
We
because
haven't had a
been
chance
able
to vote on it.
to vote
Oh.
on because we haven't had a full quorum for meetings.
Are you saying that since my term is finished, the three of you have not been able to meet fully?
We've just met to discuss important things. We haven't.
Three of us haven't been in the meeting
Okay.
since you've left.
And then we've had to cancel quite a few because either I can't make it or Dan can't make it, so you can't have a meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that was an update.
So there isn't a
That
lot
good
going
enough?
on.
Well,
What else is happening down
Yeah,
there?
just like at the
Well,
plant.
wait a
and
minute,
stuff.
wait a minute. I've been around this town for 40 years. I've been on this board for 20 years, on and off. Never, ever have I had a select board member or the select board come to us and say, what's going on? What is it now that's just now bringing this about?
Maybe we're getting things a little more squared away and we want an update as a board.
This doesn't involve you people. The select board, you got no business involving your people here in our sewer commission.
So we invite the school committee down here to talk to us
Go
as
ahead.
well about what's going on at the school. We just want an
We are
update.
independent.
Right, so, and we would like to know what's going on. You don't have
We
to.
don't answer to you.
We're not asking you to answer to us. We're here to.
Yeah, you are.
No, we're not.
No, we're
We're
not.
not
You
doing
don't have
like
to
an
say
inquiry or
anything.
anything. We're trying to hear what's happening with the sewer commission, just like we do with the
What?
school.
You want to know? Come to our meeting.
The
Yeah.
meetings that you guys don't have.
We do have them when we need them.
Look at, we're not trying to, we are not, definitely not trying to go, excuse me, you need to answer to us, sir, on what
That's
you're
good.
doing down there. That is
I
not.
appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome,
I'm
because
not-
we don't,
Mary, I'm not trying to
Right.
pick here.
okay,
Okay, but I was notified just recently.
you're angry.
Okay. Yeah, I am, very
Yeah,
angry.
I get that. But I don't know why, because,
Because you have an administrator that thinks that she runs this town, and you people are allowing her to do it.
I don't
Wait.
deal with
Yeah,
the
we're
sewer
not gonna
commission
go
at
down,
all.
Andrea, we're not gonna go down
No,
that
you're
road
not.
right now. So if you're really not willing to give us an update on how things are going with the sewer commission, then I guess we have no purpose to continue this portion of our meeting.
okay.
Thanks for coming.
I just hope that things are going well down there. When we look at the payroll warrant, we see that there's only one person that seems to work down there most of the time. So it would have been nice to know,
And
like,
there has been an advertisement
how's
for
Isaac
another
doing? I
position.
mean, you know, how are
Sandals
things
goes
going?
again. It's all that, I mean, like I said, we haven't.
We got a guy that's working down there 7 days a week.
It's a
Without any
problem
help.
everywhere. It's not just in the town of Northfield.
No,
There's
I know,
nobody that
it's-
wants to work.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry.
we've advertised, we've done everything
Come
we
see
could,
me.
and
Yeah.
it's
My
it's
house.
tough, because he's,
Anytime.
when it rains, you know, he's
Love to
walking
talk.
on eggshells because he's gotta run up here or whatever.
40
We've
meters.
been lucky, we haven't had any plug ups or anything.
You as well, Bern.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody.
But that's
I
why
don't
we
even
wanted
come to
to.
this meeting.
That's why we wanted to invite you, so we didn't all have to go to your house individually to talk to you to see what's going on at the sewer commission. Like, that's kind of what this roundtable discussion would just be about, is to update us and people in the town to what's going on. I don't think Mary and Bernie have to come to your house to figure out
They
what's
don't
going
have
on. Well, you just invited
I'm
them,
welcome.
so.
I'm
Okay,
saying, come to the house.
But
You can
that's-
come to the house.
that's why we wanted to do this all, so we didn't all have to go to your house to find out what's going on.
I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at this
Don't worry about
situation. Yeah, I'm just saying that,
It's stupid, I know.
well, really, frankly, I think all Alex, because he had a vested interest, because he was on the board.
That's all it is. That's
And
all
he
it
was
is.
like, okay, can I put that on the agenda? I just really want to know that everything's going
He
okay,
could've come to a
you know?
meeting. He could have stopped at my house.
Okay, well, we're sorry we upset you by bringing you here. This is just the form he wanted to ask how things were going. And we can just stop it right now, so we don't have to waste all
And, you
these
know, the
people's
thing is,
time,
we
right?
don't-
Absolutely.
It's not even just like about me or the board. I mean, it's about the town knowing what's going on there too. And I think that's important. You don't have to be a sewer user to know what's going on for a town
They pay
commission.
for it.
That's good, but that means they have a vested interest, but there are other people that may want to know what's going on.
Yeah, the
And that's
town.
Yeah, and I think
Why?
that's fair.
It doesn't concern them.
Transparency and accountability are important in town government, Dan. So just remember that. That's all I have to say about it. So,
You see them?
And also, out of respect for Andrea, she's not running the town. She's the
Matter of
administrator.
opinion.
And, okay, I'm
I
gonna
respect
stop.
your opinion. Don't
Okay.
respect
If you,
mine.
if you have
Okay,
a
yes,
problem with me,
indeed.
please come
Okay.
see me in my office.
I don't need to.
Well, then I guess I don't know what your concerns are.
Well, I'm sorry this didn't go well.
I'm sorry
It's
too.
not my fault.
Okay.
I was really
We
hoping
release
could
you
have
of
had
any
a nice
responsibility, and I personally release you of this moment, because I know you want to get out of here, and I appreciate that.
All right, we'll move on to our next meeting of business.
It
Thanks
didn't-
for
yeah.
stopping by.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Tom.
All right, we'll move on to our 6:30 order of business with Director Misha Storm, Dickinson Library, and Chris Sellers, manager of the brewery at Four Star Farm. Request for a one-day temporary liquor license
Right. Fun things, fun things.
for November 11th.
Fun things happening.
Thankfully, all appointments aren't like the last one. How are you?
Good, how are you guys?
Thanks for coming.
How's the library doing?
How you doing, Misha?
Just fine.
All right.
Yes. Yeah, no, nothing crazy going on at the library. It's great.
Right, excellent, excellent.
So we're just asking for the approval of a one-day liquor license for November 11th. Chris is going to be demonstrating beer brewing and also having samples.
Yeah,
Ooh.
be a little presentation, explain what we do and how we do it.
Great.
Manager of the, okay, so Chris, you are the manager of the brewery
Yes,
at Four Star Farms. Okay, I missed that. Well, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Nice to meet you, too.
Welcome to the
It's a pleasure
our
to
lovely
be
town
back.
atmosphere.
absolutely. You guys got a few more members since the last time I was here.
Yeah.
Bernie and I.
I remember, I think I saw you in, yeah, you stopped by.
What day is the November 11th?
It's a
I
Thursday.
want to put that in my calendar here.
So can you kind of explain the nature of how this will be set up? It's going to be at the library.
It'll be at the library. You've probably talked with Matt a little bit more.
Yeah,
about it,
so
but-
this will be the third time I've given a beer presentation in the library.
Oh.
The first time, I actually made beer in the basement of the library, which was kind of fun. We didn't actually make the beer, but we went through the steps, and if memory serves, I don't remember if it was you at the time, but I remember chatting with somebody the next day, and they said, the whole library smelled like you'd been brewing. So I figured that's a little bit involved to do again, but essentially what I'll do is give a presentation, bring some of the raw ingredients, discuss sort of how we actually turn raw ingredients into finished beer, and hopefully pour some 2-ounce samples for folks who attend.
Oh. So it's a it's educational and social.
Yes.
In its own kind of way, yeah.
Yeah. To adults.
That's right, yeah.
But I mean, I think the first one of these I did was, that's gonna be almost 8 years ago now. But I work somewhere else, but it's just funny that
Yeah.
I keep returning to the Northfield Library.
It's a beautiful
Talk about
venue.
it. It's
We
a
all, I
gorgeous
mean, it's
venue,
gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real treat.
So are you also getting into the effect of the different, the earth and the hops and all of that?
Yeah, all of it plays
okay.
an important role in how
Interesting.
we do what we do over there at the brewery. So it'll be kind of a
With
important
that
explanation of the
wonderful
concept
earth.
of terroir and
Yeah.
how that affects the flavors we get
Good.
in the hops. Yeah,
Okay.
you guys should all join us.
Well, alcohol has brought people together for thousands of years in our world and society, so I'm glad to see it happening at the local level.
Well said.
All right.
Yay.
Anybody like to make a motion regarding the November 11th event at the Dickinson?
Oh, I will make the
I was going to say, after my line right there, I felt
I know, you need to go and follow
inspired.
Yes, please follow
And with
through.
that being said, folks, I would like to move forward with a motion
Nice segue.
to approve
Yeah.
the one-day temporary liquor license for November 11th, 2021, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. for the library program held at Dickinson Memorial Library at 115 Main Street from Misha Storm and Chris Sellers, manager of the brewery at 4 Star Farm.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Just looking through the documents here, and we have Christopher's tip certification and all the necessary stuff to go along with this.
check that.
Should we take
Liability insurance.
Yeah.
Yep, COI.
$1 million insurance, is that what it is usually?
I think that's what they call it.
And it's, let's see, the fee, approximate number of attendees, 30. Okay. And it says the wine and malt fee is waived, just all alcoholic, that's what they'll be paying for a permit.
Ask the license.
No, just, it's it's not even wine, it's malt.
Okay.
And because it's a town thing, we waive it.
Okay, waive the fee.
Unless you guys don't want to.
I think we can do
I
that.
think we should.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for
I'm gonna stay
giving
right
back
here.
to the
'cause I
community.
think I've got
Yeah,
two
you
more.
can.
Yeah, stay on.
Stay where you are.
Nice to see you.
It looks like you're,
He's the gentleman of the hour.
yeah. Oh, this is great. Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We should have done this at the Creamy. I was like, call Chris.
So we have two more. The next one up will be Dennis Murphy with the Kiwanis for a one-day temporary license.
Oh, thanks.
Dennis is not
Okay.
here.
But Chris didn't,
That's going with the-
I'll do my best.
yeah.
Okay, you want to just give us a summary of this one as well? This one's for what is it? October 9th, which would be Saturday.
Yeah.
From 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Starting early.
I don't believe I'll be pouring anything at 8 a.m.
Okay.
My impression is that this is for the Great River Triathlon
Yes, that's what's
event.
happening then.
Yep, and
Oh,
it's
great.
just to pour some beer for the participants who are 21 or older at the end of their, what is sure to be a very chilly and what looks like a very rainy adventure triathlon.
Yes, and very fun this year.
And this is going to be down at the Northfield Mountain.
I believe so.
Okay. It has a address 99 North
Yep.
Falls Road, so that's okay. And all of this looks like it's in order like the last one.
I don't think they have that many participants either. I forget what the total number days limit
No,
is.
it's,
It says approximate 100.
Okay.
It's 100,
Yeah.
that's probably high.
That's probably not
Yeah,
bad,
that is
yeah.
especially for what the weather was gonna bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this all looks good to me. Anyone would like to make a motion on this approval?
I motion that we approve Chris Sellers' application for a one-day liquor license for the Kiwanis Club of Northfield and the River Challenge on what date, Chris? October 9th.
Saturday that night.
Right? Did I say that right?
Is Chris Sellers recommending this, or is the Kiwanis
right.
Club?
Good
This is
question.
actually Dennis Murphy.
Yeah.
Dennis
Yeah,
Murphy.
I
Dennis
think
Murphy.
they filed the paperwork.
Okay.
I'm the one handling the alcohol, so.
Okay.
Should we have that person here?
No, always. You haven't always.
Mhm.
I know, I
I don't want to hold it up for their event this close, but.
All right.
All right, so we have a motion to approve
I'll second it.
and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
You're the important person to answer questions.
The one handling
The alcohol.
Exactly.
That's right.
Hi, Chris. Welcome.
It's great to be here. It's a
Okay.
pleasure to be back again.
Okay.
See, you're requesting a one-day liquor license application for the Northfield Senior Center.
Yes, with Colleen. Come on down.
All right, so we'll
Next.
move on to our next one for Colleen Letourneau, Senior Center Director.
Oh, sorry.
And we'll talk about the event happening at the Senior Center for October 28th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m.
That's right, we're having an open house. He's going to be presenting and demonstrating beer making and the ingredients, as you say. I've also requested that he bring there was ciders and
We do have some cider,
I think
yep.
in
A couple of
wine
wines,
from Black Birch
Mhm.
Winery.
Oh, nice.
So we're gonna have hors d'oeuvres and music, and I'm sure Michael Jackson will be playing on our big screen TV.
Why is that?
Because it's our era of dance.
Oh, right.
Oh, Lord.
Now, Colleen, is this open to the public or for members of, like,
Open house.
Yeah, open
it's
house.
open house
yeah.
of Senior Center?
Yeah, we're gonna come up with a flyer, my program assistant, and we're gonna post it everywhere and send out a blast email to the seniors and families, and so we're,
Okay.
Do you have a approximate number that just said to be determined? Any estimates?
I don't. So my blast email just to seniors, not that they're all coming, is 130 people
Okay.
emails. And then if we posted it at MIMS and IGA and at the library and any other places that people might see, then we will hopefully get, I would hope, at least 40, 50 people throughout that time frame, 2 hours.
And what we had discussed was this is more of a sampling and an explanation, so we're
Yeah.
not pouring people whole drinks.
Yeah,
It
no.
would be 2 ounces approximately.
Okay.
Like a tasting,
Taste and experience what we're talking about.
right.
All right, so we can hear a motion for this event.
I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license for the Senior Center. Colleen Letourneau, who's our director, for October 28th, 2021, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Senior Center open house.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Guess you're gonna be a busy man this month.
Yes, indeed.
It's going to be
I always-
popular in Northfield,
Well, once
too.
again, thank you so much for bringing this to
Yeah.
our
Oh,
community.
absolutely, our pleasure.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to bring it to everyone.
Right, yeah.
Thank you guys.
Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Chris.
Good luck, Chris. Yeah.
Spread the love.
Okay.
Because you're right there.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you can hand the B and then- All right, next on our agenda, 6:45 request from the Council on Aging to appoint Deb Manu to the Council on Aging.
Okay, great.
Hello, Deb.
Hi,
Hi,
Welcome.
Deb. Good to see you.
good to see you too.
And hello, Frank.
Hi, how are you doing?
Nice to see you again.
I know,
Keeping you busy.
we are.
So Deb, tell us about yourself.
Okay, I have lived in Northfield for 40 years, raised my children here. I worked in Pioneer District as a speech-language pathologist for 25 years. After retiring, I continued to do consulting to area school districts on inclusion and supporting students with autism. And this was the first fall that I haven't been going into a school system to do some work. So I've been thinking, knowing I wanted to do something and to support something in town. And then I happened upon a longtime friend, Betty Wickham, who was on the Council on Aging, and she said, "You interested in volunteering at the senior center?" And I said, "You got me at a good time. I absolutely am." And then I met with Colleen, and I was asked to join the council. So I've been to one meeting, as an obviously not a voting person, and I'm looking forward to being able to put some time into supporting seniors and maybe attracting more young seniors.
Great. Wonderful.
Yes.
Can I hear a motion to accept this citizen interest form for Council on Aging?
I move that we appoint Deb Lanou to the Council on Aging, term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Jen.
Service.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that.
Enjoy. Am I staying for anything else?
No.
What else you got, Colin?
I know. She's got something.
Something on my sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah. She gave me a tour of the senior center. Have you been down there
No.
since? Yeah, stop
must
in
do
some.
that.
Yeah, because they just got it all spiffed up, and they've got the huge TV in there now too. It's nice.
Some MTV music in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. They play a lot of music on that TV. It used to be down here, right?
What?
The senior center was in this building.
I thought you meant Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah, probably good.
It still is.
All right, next.
Oh,
Next
sorry.
on our agenda, 6:50. We're a little early,
Oh my
Yay.
goodness,
Great.
really? Excellent.
but if Billy, you're ready for us, we will certainly. We'll move on. How are you?
Always ready. Can't complain. How about you?
I can't complain, but I won't do it.
Yeah.
How's it going at Pioneer? How's things going up there?
It's busy, but it's great to see everyone back compared to last year.
Yay.
Last year was absolutely like astounding. The way you walk into the school and it doesn't feel like a school. It just felt like almost felt like a jail with everybody spaced out evenly and everything. This year, I was just commenting to one of the school counselors at lunch today. You look around the room, and especially for their generation, everyone was talking to each other, not buried in their devices. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, but with everyone back, it's been a busy start to the year, as the administration could attest if they were here, but it's been great.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure you've been busy with this ridiculous TikTok garbage that's going on.
that's
in
been one of
schools.
the main points.
Is this vandalism trend going on where they see who can cause the most vandalisms in the school by ripping paper towel dispensers and soap dispensers and hand sanitizers, all the stuff that you need to keep your hands clean in COVID era? Yeah, all that stuff, they're ripping that off and causing damage. And I know Pioneer's been a part of it, just talking to some of the kids up there and stuff. So.
Yeah, including last night, we had another incident, but luckily we were able to trace that one back to who it was. And
Hopefully the parents are very much aware of this too and talking to them, because this is money out of the school's budget to fix it. This doesn't come out of the air. These things all cost money to fix.
we have a nice safety team at the school, and we met a couple days ago when this started becoming more prevalent. And we did send out to all the parents a letter from the school, basically to address the knowledge, so making sure the parents were aware of what's going on, as well as the impacts that we're already seeing and what the further impacts could be. So hopefully we get some parent support and it goes away.
So would you say that your ability to be a school resource officer part-time, you're able to still dedicate your maximum effort to fulfill the MOU?
Yeah.
It's full-time.
It is a full-time position.
Yeah, so they have me there 24 hours a week.
Okay.
Which is 3 school days. It works great. The district as well as the town has been great with working my schedule around my full-time job. As you know, I'm a lieutenant for Greenfield Fire. So we work 2 24s. So that clearly leaves, even if both my fire shifts fall on a weekday, that leaves me at least 3 days to be there, which 3 8-hour days is what I'm doing anyway. Plus, I've done numerous after-school activities with them, and I get phone calls and emails around the clock. Usually the incidents I deal with don't start necessarily during the day. So yeah, I think, and I hope the administration could attest. I know the superintendent's pretty happy with me, so I think the answer to that is yes.
Great. Yeah, that was just from the beginning. We had gone into this knowing that you had a full-time job, so now that we've had you in the position for a while, just wondering how you'd answer that question. So I'm glad it's working out.
Yeah.
So just I just don't want anyone to burn out, especially in first responders, law enforcement today. If you have an officer or somebody who's working 60 to 80 hours a week, there's no possible way, in my opinion, that they can devote 100% of their effort as if they did if they were fresh on their first shift for the week.
So I'd be the first one to attest that this should be a full-time position by all means. Last year it was presented to me as a temporary during COVID, whether in hybrid, and I was more than happy to step up for that. Unfortunately, they liked me, so they asked me to come back with an additional day, which is when we kind of went into the talks of doing the 24 hours, which is 3 days. And while I do enjoy it, it's definitely in a different career path I ever thought I'd have the opportunity to do as a part-time officer, which is now technically working full-time-ish hours. That I'm glad to do it, but I am ready if in the future we're looking to relinquish this to a full-time officer. It would be much better suited to have someone there every day, because I tell you the workload's there. And Heath, you could attest.
So here's my one more question that I have. This is probably the most important one. So with the new changes of training and policy and doing away with part-time officers is my understanding of it. Where does that leave someone like yourself who's part-time trained for the position going forward? If you're still in the position.
Yeah, so I will be going through the Bridge Academy. I'm in the year 2 process of that. So I'm K, which is the first group is A through H. So I'm in the second group, which is fiscal year 23, essentially, if you look at it that way. So it's July 1, 2022 to July 1, 2023 is when I have my scheduled time to do the Bridge Academy. Which 200 hours, 80 of it online, the 120 in person, which I plan on attending all of that. There's also hours criteria to maintain your part-time status as well as a potential full-time status. I will exceed it with just my service in Deerfield from a department I haven't even been on. I have equivalent of about 6.5 to 7 full-time years of police hours if you added up all my police time between my 3 departments. Okay. So I meet all the state criteria with the new post certification, and as long as I go through the Bridge Academy, as far as the state and post are concerned, as long as the chief sponsored me, I could work full-time. I don't have any intention of leaving the fire department, but there's no concern on my behalf that I won't be qualified to continue working. Awesome. And I also did attend a week-long post-certified school resource officer certification class. And there's another 2-day coming up in November, December area that I'll have to attend in order to maintain my certification by January 1. But I've attended everything I've been required to by the state.
Great. So what sort of things do you have going on up there that's like out, the fringe stuff that they have people doing sometimes as far as like the substance use education or cyberbullying, anything? Do you have a chance to get any of those kind of things going yet?
I have. So this year's, last year was a little tough with the hybrid, but this year I'm bringing in 4 programs to the schools. So far this year, I've always worked well with the health teachers, so they had me in already, and it's like a first responder preparedness class. So with my background as being an EMT, being a firefighter, and a police officer, I was able to jump in and we went over basically everything you need to do for first responder calls. So we went over medical calls, we went over different like car accidents. I've helped with backboarding, CPR AD training, things like that in that class. I'm also doing, in conglomeration with the DA's office, we're bringing in cyberbullying and internet safety, because we already had issues this year with internet safety as well as carryover from last year. Bringing in train safety at the sergeant detective down at Amtrak in Connecticut is helping me bring a program in this winter when it's too cold to do anything outside. We're bringing in a rail safety. The train tracks are behind Northfield Elementary. I'm also bringing it over to Bernardston Elementary because they have the train tracks right across the way. Because I am a district, I'm part of the district as well, so I do serve both schools. So I'm trying to bring that and spread it around. The superintendent and I have worked with all the public safety agencies so far, the police chief, the EMS chief, the fire chief in each respective town that the school district covers, and we're going to do a mock drill tabletop for a basically unannounced incident that we're gonna set up, and then we're gonna do a bike rodeo in the spring, as well as all the other extracurriculars like the pumpkin carving and the school events, theater. I've been working with the band as well, as I was in band for all my years in school. I've been going with the marching band, practicing after school with them, helping them with their marching. I sit in on some of their band classes, and then they invited me to the Biggie. I was unfortunately unable to attend that, but they have Scarecrow in the park. I plan on going, which is coming up a couple Saturdays from now, the 16th, I think. I'll be there with them. So kind of reaching out all over to the different angles of the school.
And that's great. Like I wanted you to kind of talk about what you've been doing. I mean, I don't know what you've been doing and this kind of stuff that happens with it. But most people think that you're just like a security guard in a school.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
and they don't think the necessity is there for this position. But it's all the things you've talked about, plus being a role model and another person in the school for the kids to turn to, and you know everything in between. You know, being there for the classes is a new thing because you've got the background that you have. And I hope Pioneer's able to expand their education and first responder stuff. That was something they talked about doing while I was there, and I think that would be huge for that school district. I hope they expand it more, especially if they have someone there that's able to do it. They really should take advantage of it. So
Definitely.
great job, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
we have the MOU renewal here. Renewing it, Andrea, do you know if there are any legal changes or technical stuff that we should be aware of?
No, I mean, I went through it pretty thoroughly. It's actually quite simple if you read it. It's not terribly technical, and it's very much straightforward. And I think that, you know, what our officer here is explaining more than adequately covers the responsibilities under this. I mean, they're doing way more than, you know, than this even entails. So I think that, you know, structural activities, presenting various subjects, encouraging individuals in small groups, attending meetings, available for conferences, familiar with community agencies, assistance to youth. I mean, I think he's touched on all the different requirements that are even, you know, are the responsibilities here. So I don't think you're going to find that there's anything in here, and I think it's laid out very well, very simply, very straightforward.
I read through it. It seems very straightforward.
I didn't see any major changes from the last one. The only question I had about it was FY23 to be determined based on needs and updated by January 2022. So is this coming back in a few months based on?
No, it's the wages. So
okay.
We'll have that discussion. Unfortunately, they put January 2022. I'm like, we're just starting the budget, so that may be more like February. But you know, that just has to do with the fact that they're assigning him a certain amount now, and we'll just make sure
revisit the wages.
Well, that keeps up with what the town's doing for, you know, position and COLA and all that.
Okay.
So that's really just about, I think, the wages in specific.
Okay, just checking.
Which is a good thing, because sometimes these positions get memorialized and then people forget to go back and look at the position the way they're looking at all the town positions, just to make sure that it keeps pace with what everybody else is doing.
It's fresh.
Yeah, sometimes things change, so it's important to keep things updated. Okay.
But it is a 2-year agreement, and that's why that provision is in there.
Okay.
The second year will be you don't want to say, oh, it's this amount for 2 years. No, it's this amount this year, and you know.
Then it'll be
like,
updated
or-
once we go through the
workers get
cycle.
COLA
Yep.
or not, or
Right.
that we want to have the provision in there to be able to do that adjustment as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so if we're okay with it then, I'd like to go forward with a motion to renew the school resource officer MOU between the town of Northfield and the Pioneer Valley School District as of, what day is it? October 5th, 2021, with an expiration date of?
It's 2023, so
It's like June 30th.
it might go through the school year. Hang on, I'm looking at the term.
At the end of Article 1 on the front page.
Yeah, so that's what you're going to do.
Expiration of June 30th, 2023.
Right, goes through the school.
It's retroactive to July 1st.
Okay.
Right,
Yep.
July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023.
Yep. There we go.
Since he's already doing it, we might as well make you official.
All right.
Yeah. Second.
Appreciate it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thanks.
Kimball, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep on with the band stuff. I was
I love
happy.
it.
Once a
Yeah.
band person, always a band
Always.
person. That's
Yeah.
great.
And you know, maybe I can talk these people into giving some, something to the budget to decorate your offices.
Oh.
He knows exactly, he knows exactly what
Where
it
is
looks
your
like.
office?
Oh,
So
maybe it
it's,
wasn't yours.
it's right off the main lobby. So Mary's made it a point every time she stops by when she's subbing that I'm almost never in my office.
No, luckily.
So, because I'm always bouncing around from classroom or
Of course.
whatever, but it's all white walls. It's just this tiny little white wall room, but it's right off the main lobby, so I get to see everyone walking by if I am in there. So as you're walking in the main lobby, it's the first office on the right after the teacher's room.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. We're on it. Me and Angie, you know Angie.
You need some color.
Yeah, we're gonna put something up there. I start back on the 13th full time.
Perfect.
Of
We'll see you then.
Yeah. Take care. Thanks for your time
Thanks, have a
tonight.
Yeah.
wonderful night.
Thank you.
Remember Erica?
Yeah, it was her old
Yeah.
office. Yeah, that's
That little one? Not the big bright room, but that one.
Slightly bigger than the room closet.
Right. It's a little smaller than our police station. Just a little.
Which is pretty small.
Oh.
That was a
Alright.
great update.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of valuable stuff that,
Yeah.
that they do, and I knew that Billy was going to be great in that position.
Yeah, that's
Great person to
wonderful.
interact with the kids in the community up there. All right, we'll move on to the review and approval of our warrants. If I could hear
I
a
move
motion.
to approve the payroll warrant of October 7th, 2021 of $57,026.91.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we'll move on to the October 7th vendor warrant.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 7th, 2021 vendor warrant of $253,508.51 with inclusion of sewer line expenses, highway garage furnace, and FY 2022 storm expenses.
Oh. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
I just,
Aye.
oh,
Aye. Well,
sorry, I just had a question. Because we were just talking about sewer.
yeah.
I think it's helpful to understand so we know the commission is a separate body, but all the payroll and the expenses actually flow through the town
Yeah.
operation,
We
right?
use the same accountant.
Right, so that's the
Oh, no,
administrator.
it's more than that.
Yeah. Can you just explain?
All their bills are processed by our treasurer collector. All
Yeah.
their employee functions are handled in my
I mean-
office. And obviously they're audited through our accounting
Right.
process because the warrants go through.
Right.
So that's the function of
I mean,
the
just
way the law operates.
Right,
You
but
don't
just
have
ex-
your own,
explain for the people at home that they are a separate body, but yet the
And they
personnel
pay-
and the finance
correct,
comes
and they pay
through.
an indirect cost expense from the sewer district to the town to compensate. Actually, they're under our insurance for their vehicles and buildings.
When
Okay.
people
In
are
our
appointed,
policy.
when people are appointed to the sewer commission, does that not come in front of us?
No, never. Never has.
Not, it will.
Oh, interesting.
You haven't read far enough in your agenda yet.
Look, yeah, way down.
So, yeah, actually, we're checking on that, but I believe you'll actually be, by law, I think you actually appoint vacancies.
The one thing I want to be very clear on with a lot of things that happens all over the place, I've experienced it because I was a young person coming up and went into executive positions. People tend to say that they've been in a position longer than other people because of their age or their years of experience, they know more. Just because something hasn't been done a certain way doesn't mean they've been doing it right. So when someone says I've done it this way for 40 years, well, maybe you've been doing it wrong for 40 years. Yep. And this whole meeting that we had was nothing but an inquiry, just like we do when we're going to meet with Pioneer Regional in a certain amount of time to say, how are things going at Pioneer? And here's some citizen concerns. It's not like we're trying to govern a body that we don't have governance over. It was more of a collaborative effort, and I want to say that. I just thought that was a very, very unprofessional interaction, and I think obviously the point of it was completely missed, but I consider the source, so I'm really not going to go much farther than that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to explain the technicalities for folks at home, that it's separate, but it's not completely separate from an operational.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was on the sewer commission, we didn't really have much to do with the select board.
Right.
So because I was on the select board,
right. It's like me with the historical,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was proud to give updates about what we talked about during the meeting, and I think that's important. And and I just want to once again just kind of in a way apologize to you folks, because I thought that would have been handled a lot better. Okay, I've known those two since I've lived in Northfield. I've gotten along with them, and any time that I've worked with them, do we have meetings where things don't always work the best? Of course.
Right.
What board doesn't? But we've always had productive meetings in a way where we are moving a step further each time. And all I wanted to see is what they've been up to since I've been off, because I haven't been able to give those updates, and I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for.
No.
So
I think it was a great effort on your part to try to get that inclusion back to the board where we don't get your updates anymore. I thought that was perfectly appropriate.
Well,
and
I tried.
We'll look for another collaborative opportunity.
Hopefully we'll find it.
All right. I move that we approve the minutes from September 21st of 2021.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll move on to our interim select board meetings. We had one last week on the 28th to talk about our OPM interviews, and we selected.
Yeah, it's under business. I'm gonna give you a review.
Oh, it's under
of
your
the-
update? Oh.
Well,
Okay.
under business.
Oh,
Give you
business.
An update on the
So we'll talk
Yep.
about the OPM interviews when we get down to that.
Okay.
reference checks.
Oh, great.
Meeting and events attended by select board members. We can go around. If you
Oh,
want to start with me.
yeah. Let's see. The Historical Commission met, and it was really interesting. I'm just going to mention two new things. One is we had Eric Radoya from, who's the Preservation Director at Historic Deerfield, come and speak with us. He's actually a Northfield resident. And just helping and discussing some ideas about the 350th. And then we had the Kleins, who've worked with the National Park Service in West Virginia. They've done a lot of oral history. So they're going to be working with the 350th on some sort of effort around oral history in Northfield, which I think is really exciting. And then ARPA training. So I went to a training on the finances and the accounting for that. And then we just had a meeting. And actually infrastructure, so things like sewer and water fall under ARPA funding. Just FYI for the folks at home. And then Andrea and I sat in on we were there for 3 hours out of the 4 hours on the First Light settlement. So that continues. We've got sessions scheduled every 2 weeks. And I've reached out to the Open Space Committee to talk about recreation needs and wants in Northfield. So if anybody at home has knowledge of the river from a personal standpoint, please reach out to me. Especially paddlers, anybody who is in a non-motorized vehicle? No, that's not the right word.
A boat?
Vessel, thank you.
Vessel.
Sandra, just slid that right in. Thank you.
Because she's
Vessel.
actually a paddler.
Oh, are you a paddler?
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, you're going right to the top of my list, Sandra. Thank you. Wow, great.
Nice.
The things you find
I
out.
always wonder what Sandra does when she's not here.
And that's it.
Nothing for me.
I'm trying to think back to something, but I don't have anything off the tip of my tongue that I attended.
Okay.
Mary.
I attended the Franklin Regional Transit Authority meeting. It was my first one. We did it via Zoom. It was very interesting to be part of that meeting. They all seem to all have the best interest of the riders and citizens at the forefront. I found out that the state Mass Health Transportation contract has officially transitioned to the Montechusett. Did I say that right?
Montechusett?
Yeah, Regional Transit Authority. And there looks to be a legislative task force that is soon to be established to review the Mass Health Transportation Program. Their maintenance facility, they have a big construction project going on. So we spoke of that. And they have some pilot projects going on for both general public and workforce development. And what they're doing is they want to open up the transit buses for the weekend for riders, and they are getting a lot more riders than they've ever had before.
Wow.
Yep. And they are interested in creating a subcommittee to review recommendations and progress towards piloting weekend fixed route services, etc. It was very informative.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Was there discussion about the switch the management and the scheduling to Montechusett?
Yes.
Which is Fitchburg and Leominster, right?
That's right.
Was there discussion about that? I thought there was some controversy about taking the control of the schedules and the buses and moving it to centralizing it.
It seemed like it was going to go that way when that conversation came up. You know, I had like the cotton in my mouth and my ears open, right?
Yeah.
So I was just listening. And these two gentlemen, I forget their names, Mike and Dave or something. They diffused that right away, and just started a positive conversation on how this is happening.
How it would work.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And it all seemed, and everybody that was on that meeting all seemed to be in favor of that portion of that.
I was just curious.
And then today I went to the Franklin Tech School in Turners Falls, and I met with the school committee and two other select board members, one from a select board from Conway and one from Bernardston. And the school committee and the superintendent of that school were kind of giving us the opportunity to see if we wanted to be on that board in terms of the teachers' union negotiations. And we were advised as to the process of the negotiations, and we were given the opportunity to talk about which select board member of the three of us would appreciate the experience. That it would be very, very detailed. There's a 2-hour training session. Then there's a schedule of meetings from October to January just to get into the actual negotiation date. There was a gentleman who completely removed himself from that obligation. And there was a gentleman who works with, oversees his crew who are all unionized. So he was very interested in it. So that gave me the opportunity to say, I recuse myself from this and give it up to the gentleman from Conway, the select board member, because he really wanted it, and they only needed one.
Oh.
Yeah, they said, you know, if we wanted to do it, but they prefer a smaller volunteer base. So there's not a lot of discussion and breaking off into, they just kind of just like this. They wanted it just like this. So they will have 5 or 6 members, and the teachers union and teachers will have 6 members on their side, and then they will all meet for negotiations.
Gotcha.
And that was it.
Thanks for representing us.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I got lunch. I got dinner. I'm a cheap date.
Okay, I listened in on the FERCOG Public Health Roundtable. I believe Andrea did that too. But, you know, just Basically, they extended the mask mandate for schools. State did till November 1st. They reviewed that. They talked about, the vaccines and that, just in general. That's enough about that. I did the FERCog Planning Board, and they had a presentation on Brownsfield assessment and remediation. And they also talked about culvert inspections and repairing culverts. I took a lot of notes. I'm not going to get into everything, but I'll talk with Tommy Walker a little bit about that. Had a Friends of the Northfield Seniors meeting, and today there was a FERCog Regional Emergency Preparedness Committee meeting, and they talked about emergency telecommunication services. There was no MEMA updates available. They did talk about the radios being out. They've delivered 95% of the new radios out to the emergency people. 45% are fully integrated into the system. 35% are partially, and 20% haven't been started. So they're working. Those numbers are up from the last meeting I attended for them. They said the emergency preparedness telecommunication services, you ever notice when there's an emergency, you try to make a phone call and everything's shut down. They shut that down on purpose so you can't flood it. They have systems that you can get into, that you can get in. It's free, and I'm going to talk with the fire and police about that. They have a service so you can dial in, and you can, when somebody else won't get it downtown, you will. You can get through. So I'm going to talk with the emergency EMS people in our town about that. I took some notes. They'll have more notes when they post the thing, the meeting minutes. I'll have more to talk with them about. They also they'll give you a card that has a way to communicate. They will give it to, like Heath, if he wanted one, where he's a select board chair, or somebody from the Board of Health, or any about other emergency, that might need to know in an emergency. So, like I said, they showed the card. There's a way to dial in and whatever, and they said it's free. So I'm going to talk with some people about that, and I'll keep you updated if I find out more.
Wow.
And that's it.
I think you got me beat, Bernie, with his updates. You've now got
You raised the bar.
Yeah, no doubt. That's true, Bernie.
You know what? I was just reflecting on the fact that this is so much easier. This is one of the benefits of the 5, is that we would have, out of the 3 of us in the old configuration, we would have had to have gone to all these different meetings. Wow. So
well, 3 of these were Zoom.
Yeah, but still, that's time. Yeah. No, this is really interesting. I feel completely updated. Thank you.
All right, under business, Comcast negotiations.
You have before you actually 2 votes to make. One is, as we've been going along, and this is really no surprise on our end, but we're going to extend the license that we're currently under for another 6 months, because we are in negotiations. We're just not ready to sign yet. So that's a vote that the select board has to take. I think you may have a copy of the document in your file.
2 Comcast ones here.
Right, the first one is going to be the extension of the Comcast renewal license. And basically, you're voting to allow the lawyer to sign it, because the lawyer is, all have to sign it yourselves. This allows you to continue negotiation for up to 6 months. It's just a 6-month extension. And it's going to officially cancel the hearing that we voted to hold at our last meeting about the customer service issue. We kind of used that as a little leverage to get them to come on board with this extension, because otherwise they would have been facing a hearing this evening. So, and we'll do this while we continue to negotiate. So, and we have been continuing to negotiate. So that's the first vote.
All right, so we'll need a motion to extend, or motion to allow the lawyer to sign for this extension. Correct?
Right, to extend the Comcast license that you're currently under while we, pursue the renewal. But it's a very long, drawn-out, long document there, but that's the gist of it. It basically just spells out the terms that you're going to stay exactly under the terms of your old, preserving any rights under your old license, which also includes preserving the right that
For
you
the
complained about,
customer
the
service, yeah.
Because you didn't want to give that up.
No.
What dates?
Well, it's 6 months, and I think you expire October 10th or October 15th. It might be, I have a copy of it. Let me.
All right, well, let me try this
Guidance,
then.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to enter an agreement between the town of Northfield and Comcast of Massachusetts, the second incorporated.
It's
for
October 15th, right? So dated, so your license would be 6 months from October 15th.
For an extension, a 6 months extension starting October 15th for the cable television renewal license compliance issue.
Second. I was kind of waiting for the end
We have
there.
a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have one question about
Okay.
this. This letter right here from William Solomon,
That's our lawyer.
that's the lawyer?
That's negotiating for us, specifically for Comcast.
Okay, great, that's all.
Yes.
That's all I have.
He represents us, and this is what he does. He
This
does
is what he does, yeah.
specifically
Yep.
Right, okay.
negotiations with Comcast, and he's working on multiple towns.
He was
and
at the
he's resolved
hearing.
some, and he's working on us, and he's, starts with others, and that's his expertise, is
Yep.
these negotiations.
Yeah, he spoke at the hearing that we had a few months ago.
Online.
Online, Zoom.
All right, we're still in further discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Set down, please.
So the next one is the preliminary denial of the license. So this is, we wanted to extend the old one first. Remember they sent you that lovely white binder?
Yes.
That was
Yes.
their proposal, which
The red
they had
binder.
to send because you put up an RFP. And
Right.
you're now going to deny accepting that. Because
Oh.
you're continuing to
Because we're
negotiate.
good, right,
So we wanted to do the continuation first.
yeah.
Now we can deny their proposed license the way it was before.
Are they gonna have to make up a whole new binder?
Well, yeah.
I'll give them back
That
mine.
paper is
Yeah.
not, paper is not their problem. But
Obviously.
there's sections of it more than anything else that we're
Yeah.
continuing to negotiate.
Right.
Some of it's not at issue really,
So,
but they're
my
specific.
one question is, Comcast has, Xfinity, whatever you wanna call it, they have more money than the town of Northfield, so are they gonna financially lawyer us to death to the point where we will have to give in at some point?
No, we're negotiating with the local person who does the local area. I mean, if we got into a legal fight and we're gonna go to court over it, but that's just not how these things operate. This is a license renewal, so unless you're gonna sue them for something, which I don't think we're
And
really anticipating doing, we're really negotiating to the best point possible. And we have, several things on the table. There's line extension, then there's local access television requests for infrastructure, like we're doing with First Light. You ask for certain things when the license comes up.
Right.
And we're asking for certain terms on local access television equipment and
And are we, when the negotiations, are we taking into consideration the, you might have just mentioned this, the many citizen complaints, that I read about or I hear about? Is Comcast the only?
we had an ascertainment hearing.
They're always like, is that
Spring?
the only cable company? Can we,
Yes, it is the only cable company that's serving the town.
yeah,
And no one's gonna come in because Comcast serves 96% of your area.
right,
who's
so
gonna-
it
who's gonna
is,
build out?
okay.
Yeah, they serve over 96% of the town. But there's these little pockets, and so we're working on a build out
Yep.
for one of the little pockets.
And all
as-
of those came up, just to answer your
Yeah.
question, they all came up at the hearing. So
But it was
people,
before you were on the board, so.
people, citizens came on and talked about their concerns,
Oh,
so.
good.
And one that rose to the top was the customer service closure
Yep.
in Greenfield, so that's why we're
Yep.
kind of continuing with that one.
Awesome.
Yep, and the build out. So there were people,
Yes.
Oh, that's
like
great.
Nancy Billings from Millers
Yes.
Falls Road spoke about,
And 4 Mile Brook Road.
and 4 Mile Brook Road, yeah.
Those are the two we're working on pretty heavily.
Yeah, so that was all captured formally, and Solomon the lawyer was sitting there emphasizing,
And does this
reinforcing all of
include
those.
like extension to maybe rural areas that
Well, that's what
don't
we're talking about, the build
have
out.
cable? Build out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I did a fair amount of extensive work to look at where are there gaps and how many people and what those gaps consist of. Like one of them is an underground line to somebody's home. Well, Comcast isn't going to run that. That's not their responsibility to run an underline over property. So we looked at where is the biggest need, where that we could get the most bang for our buck. How many residents' homes could we get? that are unserved at this time. And that we felt they could get to without saying, yeah, we want you to spend $50,000 to serve one customer, which, you know, they're not gonna do, but, so that's what we're negotiating.
Well, in this day and age, everybody deserves the right to information, safety, and security. And I think Comcast knows that they have the ability to grant that to people. So they should be as humane as possible to provide services to people who may not be able to have access to them because of where they live. So I hope that in the future here for Northfield, just moving forward with these agreements and with a big company like Comcast, that they'll invest their money
And they've had
or their time into smaller areas.
And they've had to produce the cost of their build out to those requests that we've made. So now we're discussing the actual ways to do that and make that part of the contract, and how much that they would be willing to pay versus how long we think it would take them to get their pay back.
Is that where the, like using the extension from Irving comes in, things like that?
Yes, they gave me a hard time about that, but I think I've won them over.
Ooh, good job.
They wanted to say that to get to our resident, who's pretty much on the town line with Irving, that they had to start way back, basically where their last place is, which is somewhere past First Light on Northfield Mountain. And that would be a huge long run because they pass no other homes. And I said, well, serve them from Irving. It ends right there. And we had a little back and forth, but actually I think they've come back on that. So we made some progress.
That's a good alternate solution. Okay.
So
so you need a motion on the preliminary
The denial.
I will make a motion and vote to issue a friendly preliminary assessment of denial of the cable license renewal of Comcast of Massachusetts II Incorporated to allow additional time for the parties to reach a cable license renewal agreement.
Perfect.
Second.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Yay, good job on that.
Take that, Comcast.
Okay.
On to our OPM Emergency Services Facilities discussion.
Do we need to sign that?
No, I think he just takes the motion. Yes, so just so people know, I think you had COVID update on there, but we're actually putting that off for a meeting because the Board of Health is going to meet first and then potentially attend your next meeting.
Oh, great.
So that way there's no point in having a discussion without them coming. And they felt it prudent to meet first before coming to your next meeting.
Nice, a
To have your own
collaborative discussion.
Okay, so I did the reference checks. The OPM committee voted to rank their choices, and first selected was Collier's. And so the process for that is to take to do the reference checks, and so I contacted several of their references, and basically I asked 5 questions. Did the firm complete the job to your satisfaction, or if they are ongoing, are they doing so? 2, did they complete the work in a schedule as promised, or if they're ongoing, are they doing so? How did or does the firm deal with cost control? How did or does the firm interface with project committee, public town meetings, etc.? Are they good communicators? And 5, would you hire them again? So those are the 5 questions I asked. I was lucky enough that actually of the references I called, they were in different places, different phases. Some were just completing, they hadn't broken ground yet. They were just completing all the architectural work. They were just completing the design. And then the other ones had broken ground and were under construction, and then one of them was completely finished. They had done actually 2 projects simultaneously in their community, and they were done. So I kind of got to hit a spectrum of references. They were all very good. They were very, very good. I asked who they had worked with. Actually, one of the communities had the exact project team that's proposed for us, both the clerk of the works and the senior project manager. It was the exact project team. So, I didn't get any sense of reservation. I didn't get any sense of hesitation. They all had good things to say. They all felt that at whatever point they were at, that they had been responsive. That they. I got a lot of absolutelys, and they all said they would hire them again without hesitation.
Andrea, do you know what projects those 5 different companies had done by Collier? Like, were they town halls? Were they?
I had a new fire substation in Hadley, so it was a fire station. a new public safety facility in Ashby, and a new public safety facility in Somerville. So I specifically chose the ones that were more relevant to us. Because
I
they
see.
had 5, I chose 3 that were specific to the kinds of thing we were asking. And at Hadley, they not only did a new fire substation, they also did a senior center as well, at the same time.
Great.
So they completed both projects. That one was done.
Okay.
So the next step for you guys is to go ahead and vote to ask for a price proposal. As a board, if you're willing to move forward with Colliers, then you need to decide that and actually officially say, like, me to ask for their price proposal.
So you don't get any references for the other, what was the other company's name? Oh, CMS?
No, we don't generally check references unless we then move
yes,
forward with them.
I understand.
Because at this point, you've selected the other group as number 1, so
Yeah.
they're not competing anymore.
Right.
They're only competing against themselves, in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that they are now qualified based on what you're asking. And if that passes, then you move to the next level, which is, again, them competing against themselves to give you a price proposal you accept. If, in fact, that doesn't work, then you go back to CMS, and then you can check their references and work on a price proposal. But they're not competing against each other anymore.
Right.
Been through that stage.
I
We need to
move,
vote today?
Yeah. I move that we ask Colliers for a price proposal. Do you need any more descriptive info on that?
I think if they ask, I think I would say, why don't you outline what you think the project entails, so they could give you their sense of what they would suggest. That doesn't mean you can't negotiate it when they come back. If they come back with excessive hours and you say, wait, we don't think we need all that, you can talk about that at that time. But at this point in time, them being the designers, OPMs, it's good to get their opinion on what they think your project management looks like.
As part of this proposal?
Yes.
Okay, so price and project.
Well, they'll give you the price based on, they'll work out how many hours the
Right.
person needs to do, and they'll give you the price based on that, and then you can discuss that if you disagree.
Right, I'm just figuring out how to word the motion.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
You said.
oh, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second.
I second.
A motion and a second by Mary. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I still wish the other people were in the running, but that's the way it goes.
Let's move ahead.
You were lucky, you had 2 very qualified,
Yeah.
and very capable
Yeah.
candidates, and I think could equally.
I agree with Alex.
Could both have
I
done
hope-
the job.
I hope nothing but the best for that company.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, we have a time off request.
It's for me, but you'll see as attached, I'm probably working approximately half-time while I'm gone. I work remotely while I'm away.
Yeah.
We know.
Remember, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, I'm not going remote.
No, and I understand it, but the problem is we're
Cut
at
it
a
off.
busy time, and I find that coming back,
To like thousands of emails.
Right.
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
and that there's projects that are underway, and I'm less stressed actually if I just tune in for 3 or 4 hours in the morning, talk to Sandra, get things done, answer my emails, do whatever it is to do. I'm more relaxed than if I just go away and wonder every day.
But I'm on day 5, I'm clean cut from the other thing, and it's fantastic. So.
You're on day 5 already?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
my
It
God.
may come because I'm
Yeah,
looking at some
I
travel
highly
next year.
recommend
But
Yeah.
at this point in time, I think I would like to see these things through. And we're heading into budget season, so
Oh, yeah.
We just pass this around so we don't want to read it out loud, but just so you have it on it. So
it's.
Yeah, I have it here.
Okay. Oh, you guys, they have copies of it?
Well, I printed out a copy of it. It was on the.
So, yeah. and then
We're just
it's
gonna vote
attached.
on it.
Oh, so sorry.
I just wanted you guys to.
Here you go, Bernie.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I looked at the thing
You did,
on the
okay.
website,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
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 Can I see it? I did not get the
Okay.
She sends some of the things separately outside of your homework packet.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah, I
what
saw it on-
comes in
Right.
your packet.
I
and
saw it
then
in the
there's-
homework, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
attachments, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You've already seen it.
and I try to stick pretty closely to my scheduled hours. Sometimes if something comes up in an afternoon, I might switch an afternoon and a morning, but, and sometimes I have a training in the afternoon. I have actually 2 trainings while I'm gone.
I like that. It's all scheduled out here.
That's what I try to do, so I know when I'm working.
Okay. All right. And you're confident you'll be able to
Oh,
do
yeah.
it?
I'm completely set up to work remotely. And now
You've been
even
doing that,
Sandra
yeah.
is. Isn't that lucky?
Yeah.
Mobile town administrator.
All right, can we hear a motion to accept this time off request?
So moved.
So moved.
So moved. In a second?
I second. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I did the so move, so.
I second.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor? Yes, Gary.
No, that was.
Okay.
Sorry to complicate the minutes, Sandra.
I'm so sorry, Sandra. I'm not
I've
going to
watched the
say.
meeting a few times.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Sandra.
Poor Sandra, she'll just have to figure out that section.
Swing that around.
We're so
All right, we're
good
gonna
on
move,
everything else, it's the time things that screw us up.
We're gonna move the COVID update to next meeting. Town administrators update.
I'll make it quick. I know there's a ball game coming. Just want to give you an update. The police chief search. Next week, the screening committee is going to begin interviews. So we're wrapping up the
Yay.
earlier part of that process so that this week that will be moving, next week they'll be moving forward. Here's the sad news of the day. FEMA has determined that the state threshold for FEMA disaster funds was not met for the July storm. So the
Yeah.
state is not receiving any FEMA funds to help with the repairs to the damaged communities. Now, having said that, I received an email from Senator Comerford's office yesterday letting us know that, because she let us know in the morning before the big NEMA announcement. In an email, she said that she and other Western legislators are, quote, not done here, and we're working with House members to find funding for the pressing needs you're addressing. So we're going to hold out hope. We have a very good, very strong Western Mass contingent and a great advocate in our senator.
Did we do something wrong?
No, we didn't
Just
meet what
didn't
they
meet the
considered the
threshold.
threshold. They have a certain amount.
Didn't have enough damage, apparently.
I guess so.
Not in enough places. You
Had used
heard,
pricier
you heard
logs, I guess, to fill in holes.
NPR, New Hampshire's appealing. The state of New Hampshire's appealing.
Good for them.
Oh,
Because they are so upset by it. They
Goodness
also
sakes,
got to
half of Miller's Falls gets washed out. You know that?
Warwick. Did you see Warwick?
Yeah, Warwick.
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't matter.
So they
You,
didn't.
like you have to. FEMA.
It's a FEMA number
Who
because
are
they go
they?
for a
I
federal
know them,
designation.
no.
So,
Oh my gosh.
so we'll keep tuned on that. But meanwhile, we'll have to start thinking about how we're going to pay for that. Like by the end of next year,
Yeah.
that account's going. He's doing a negative accounting.
Well-
What are we up to right now?
But I don't have this last expenditure report, and you guys had some expenses in there. So I was already at 230 some thousand, and then you've got more in that warrant.
Oh.
So,
My gosh.
We haven't even guardrails up yet.
yeah, those are going up. I just pulled the prevailing wage sheet and sent it in.
So we don't get anything from MEMA. They have to get it from FEMA to
Yeah.
provide us with something?
Well, they're working on the state level. That's what our senator's saying. So FEMA said no, but she's saying we're not done at the
Okay.
state level. So now they'll go to the state. But MEMA's not going to allocate anything unless the legislature comes up with the money. So that's where she's working the angle.
Okay,
And it will come through MEMA if we do, but they're working it at the state level now.
right.
well, and I mean, just to add to that, so I mean, kudos to Senator Comerford, because that email came out like, boom, like here's the bad news, and she's like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. And then I just sent you an article on Suzanne Bump.
Yeah, I have another whole email on that.
Oh,
She-
good.
She's the state
Auditor.
auditor, and she did a whole report on how underfunded the western part of the state is in terms of
Yeah,
Chapter 90.
she's recommending, she used to live in Great Barrington, I
Yes,
think.
and she's talking about how much because the old funding formula pays on population and employment and all these things where all the western communities are not able to keep up. So she said something like she compared not like Boston, but one of the communities out east that gets something like $14,000 a mile in their Chapter 90, and we out here get $4. And yet we may have as many road miles to maintain. So she's
If
actually
not more.
She's actually
23,000 cars on the side street.
she's actually calling for them to look at the formula, to do more than just allocate
Yeah,
more money.
the Chapter
They need to
90
address the
formula.
because it hasn't been updated in years and years.
Well,
So that's her.
If they're looking for money, tell them to take the money out of the mosquito spraying. Take that out of
We won't
that.
need that, so send it our way for roads. Well, this is an opportunity to do it because ARPA, they're getting $5 billion in the state of Massachusetts, so this is infrastructure as far as
Yeah.
we're concerned. So anyway.
That was encouraging.
Community compact, I just wanted to let you know that I've received the okay from the school, about our holding our meeting, the visioning session, to discuss the public safety departments. That meeting is going to be October 20th at the Pioneer Valley High School from 6 to 8:30, and we're going to have pizza and drinks.
Wait a minute, say that
Wait,
again.
what was
You
that?
said-
Oh, wait a
wait
minute.
I missed that.
Pizza, wait
The
a
time
minute.
again, though.
Yeah.
6 to 8:30, October 20th, and
What is
we're
this?
going to start the advertising now. This is the visioning for the emergency. You saw the report. She came and met you on Zoom
Yeah.
to talk about the police,
The
and
surveys.
fire, and EMS. She talked about the surveys, which is part, but this whole visioning session is going to be another part where the public
Oh,
comes
great.
in.
Where's this located?
The high school,
Hi-
at the cafeteria. We've gotten our approval back to do that. So on the 20th, we're going to have that session. And so we'll start promoting it, so please ask residents to come. Resident input is a huge part of this process. And they've got a whole World Cafe thing where people work at tables and they will put together, put together ideas, and then we will put all that up.
Will something be posted on Next Door Neighbor?
We're going to put out, well, I don't post on Nextdoor, but I'm sure somebody will. But we're going to start now on promoting it. We needed to get everything set. So now we'll start with,
Well, usually if you
newspaper,
just
website, what we're thinking, we're going to flyer to the school. I mean, we're going to get some stuff out there. But
Sorry, Andrea,
feel
what
free
was
to
the
go
date?
ahead.
What was
October 20th,
Thank you. At what
6
time?
to 8:30.
Okay.
And it's really a sort of visioning session to talk about our emergency services departments and
This is awesome.
changes and all that, especially now that
Great.
we're looking at a public safety facility. And I know that Sandra's going to be mad at me because I usually put everything in my notes and she likes to have them, but I'm going to add first slide as a town administrator update because you reminded me. You did a little bit on it, but I'm going to run this pretty quick. The last session was to talk about the different requests, and Northfield was the first. We were the first group. They've had another one that will be talking further down or up, the
South.
river, depending on how you look at it.
South.
So we talked about some of the priorities for Northfield. We looked at the open space. We looked at some of the requests that had been made prior to us. B and I both got involved only in the last year, so we're sort of newbie, but there was already
This
some
goes
history.
way back.
And then
Yeah.
there's also an open space plan that has some recommendations in it. So one of the things that she was talking about is we're looking for a non-motorized input, boat input in town. We've been talking about where that's going to be. They've proposed one. We're not exactly sure that that's the best place. So we're working with them as part of the negotiations on that, but they would like to, because the boat launch really doesn't work for kayakers and canoers. That's not set for their type of entry. So we're looking at trying to find a place in Northfield somewhere along that's convenient and that also allows people who might be less than fully abled to actually get a canoe or a kayak in the water. So that's one of them. The other thing that we are asking for is we really would like to see them do some updating to the Northfield Center, and with a renewed focus on tourism. We'd really like to see them make that a more of a tourist center that could promote a lot of what's going on in the area, both the history, both the recreational opportunities and resources. We kind of put it out to them. We
Concession.
thought things were a little bit dated up there. It'd been a long time since they put anything into that facility. And I think by the end of the meeting, they kind of came around to the understanding. A lot of the other people on the group felt that way too.
Well, we had a lot of, so Andrea did,
Other organizations.
other towns weighed in on that. So I think this is where it was starting to gel, where Gill and Montague weighed in, said that they supported what Northfield was saying, because it actually affects them regionally, even though it's not within their
Right, we'd
town
like to
boundary.
do, they can do
Yeah.
regional, you could go down there and then there'd be like a regional
Right.
tourism spot to bring people to all the different things that are in the region and potential things.
And then just to add to that, other nonprofit organizations, so the Connecticut River Conservancy, there's a whole climbers organization, there's a paddlers consortium.
And there was a biker.
And mountain biking. So they all chimed in to support that, because then that supports what they're asking for. And the paddlers, for example, Sandra, you'd be happy to know this, their request is for a camp site every
additional
5
campground.
miles on the river. So as they're coming down, they want to be able to pull off every 5 miles. And right now it's set up so that I think it's as long as 8 miles.
So they're just looking at those as pieces of, I don't know that we'd get a new campground, particularly in Northfield. That might be, they were looking at a spot in Gill, but they they have an organization that sets it up so people can take the trail, a camping trail with your canoe, and you can camp.
Using the river. Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the things. And then the last thing that we were talking about, which you touched on briefly, is that there is a whole focus on, and some of it starts at Northfield Mountain, the trails up there. They're used for hiking. They can get to the ledges that way, or they can drive. That's for climbing. There's and they were talking about biking. In fact, they hooked up the gentleman. They're actually going to have a meeting, I think, off RC to start talking about what's involved in actually putting in mountain biking kinds of facilities. What do they look for to add that? And then we started talking about the cross-country skiing, because there was a big discussion about snowmaking up there. So,
and swimming too.
And river access is really how we're also talking about it. But the whole piece about First Light's recreational pieces that they need to put in, because they're doing their FERC 50-year license, and this is our once-in-a-generation opportunity to try and reach in and say, these are our priorities and we really need you guys to commit to them. So that's ongoing. We have more sessions. Those are 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon sessions. There's 4 of them, so we've been slogging through those. But anyway, that's the update.
They're getting better
with that. And that's it.
Topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance. I don't have any. Citizens' concerns. Don't see any correspondence from people in the room. We do have correspondence of a resignation submitted by Mr. Robert Layton on October 3rd. Sent to the town clerk. Hello, Dan. I resign as sewer commissioner for the town of Northfield, effective immediately. Robert Layton.
Of what?
Sewer commissioner.
The sewer commissioner.
He was our sewer commissioner?
He was one of them.
Oh, okay. And Dan Gray is a sewer commissioner?
Yeah.
And
Tom is a sewer commissioner.
There's 3 of them, yeah.
So there are 3 of them.
Yeah.
I don't believe the 3 of them have had a meeting since I
Well, that's what he was just saying as well.
And that doesn't surprise me.
Okay. All right.
While Andrea was speaking, I checked on my phone, and there haven't been minutes posted for the sewer commission since their July 14th meeting. So,
Is it a law that they have to?
I think there's really a law, but it looks like, you know what I
Like, I mean, a town law.
Transparency and accountability. That's what it's about.
That's what you
And
said, yeah.
that's what I tried to emphasize during my time on that board. And I guess some things just didn't carry over.
So we have a vacancy on the sewer commission.
And I'm looking into it, whether or not that's actually a select board appointment until the next
I'm
election.
not sure how.
Oh, it might be.
Let's hope somebody steps up, because
Bernie,
it's
there we go.
it's obviously needed.
Oh.
It's obviously needed. It seems like that organization needs some structure and leadership.
It certainly does.
So it sounds like it's the wild, wild west over
It's a
there.
very, well, honestly, it's a very.
Nobody has to account to
Well,
It
anybody.
can be time consuming. Some of the meetings are very
I
long.
think we need to be careful about commenting on other boards,
Right.
to be honest with you.
Well, I've heard the dysfunction that happens there, though, beyond what we saw tonight.
Right, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, I appreciate that, Bea.
yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that let's be the model of positivity and solution-oriented, which I think most people in Northfield want and are getting used to. So that took us all a little bit by surprise, certainly me. And it would be really interesting, having had that discussion, that we would then be in the position of having to appoint somebody. So it does behoove being collaborative among boards, like we're trying to do with the Board of Health and the Finance Committee, who are all separate. I just want to say, because we've really, it's important to me, but it's also, I think, as a group, before you guys were elected, these were things that we were talking about, was that we did want to reach out and understand all of the things that were going on in Northfield, just to stay abreast of them and to see how we could be helpful. And I think that's really the goal, like you said, in bringing people from different groups forward.
Which is what Alex exactly tried to do tonight.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so there's always another chance to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I'm saying, hopefully we have some people that step up that will see the importance in doing that, because it's needed, and
Well,
we need
it's
somebody to be there.
infrastructure that's
Yeah.
absolutely critical to the town. Main Street on, Main Street,
All of our
all of
businesses.
Main Street, it's not like, I know we have 2 water districts, but the sewer district is everybody pretty, I mean, I
The
know,
heart of the town is on
for
that.
those who are on the sewer, that affects all the businesses on Main Street as well, right?
I don't think there's any septic there.
Okay, so if somebody wants to step forward, that would be wonderful.
That would be great.
So everybody out there, we are looking for someone to step up into the sewer commissioner role soon.
Do we have to vote to accept the resignation?
Yes,
or
we
is that
do.
just-
It's usually a good idea.
Oh, reluctantly.
Will somebody make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Robert Layton from the Sewer Commission, effective immediately.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you to Robert Layton for his service.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Robert.
Committee board appointments, we did those. Proposed agenda items, does anybody have any to mention now?
Just following up from our previous minutes, noise from Gill, Northfield, Mount Herman campus.
Yeah, I don't think you've heard anything, right?
No.
No, but someone did post something somewhere. I mean, obviously it hasn't turned into a big thing and it hasn't really come to us officially, but I did hear it's been an issue since that meeting.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I was told it wouldn't be. So I thought we'd be.
I haven't
You
heard anything. No,
so I was
I haven't
hoping,
heard
I was
anything,
hoping
so
it was
that's-
resolved. So if somebody else has an issue and it hasn't been resolved, please let me know.
Yeah, I haven't heard any, it was just like a word of mouth that it's happened
Yeah.
since we discussed it.
Well,
but
hopefully
obviously it
they'll
wasn't-
come to me if they do, because I would be interested in having that information.
Right.
Well, speaking of that, then, so the root issue is, we had talked about doing, or solving the root issue is the noise bylaw, of updating that. So do we need to revisit? I think you had given us a proposal and we looked at it, talked about it a little bit, but didn't. We're going to circle back?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's a whole bunch of bylaws that are being circulated potentially for town meeting, but I'll bring you back the ones that you would be proposing.
Okay.
Now, this may sound like a stupid question, but this is Mount Herman we're talking about. Isn't that in Gill?
It is, but it's
It is, but.
affecting our noise.
So we get to, right, of
Well,
course.
so, yeah, reaching out to them is not the issue.
Yeah, there were people who live bordering the Pioneer High School's property.
Yes.
It sounded like, the video that I saw, it sounded
Oh,
like it was literally right
yeah.
next door. So it's like, not like I had where it was across the valley and
Yeah.
I could hear the music, I could hear the lyrics that far away. It was a mile and a half away, but this was the video that we had. It was like definitely disruptive to someone living in town. The one proposed agenda item I do have, we did mention it in the last meeting, was just to set up our joint meeting with PDRS and the
Right.
Finance Committee, because we're in October and we said we were gonna do that in
Right, I'm
October.
waiting to get, I've got to reach out to them, I'm waiting for them to get their October count, usually takes, I'm not sure if it's October 1st or the 5th,
Oh, the
right around
enrollment,
now.
right,
And
yeah.
one of the things you wanted them to update you on was the enrollment, so I suspect that as soon as we, they've settled that, then it's a good time to probably reach out to them and have them in.
Have them and possibly the superintendent, if she's willing to come,
Yeah.
because I think she
would.
the conversation I had with her, it left me feeling really good, so I think the community would benefit from
Absolutely.
hearing those good things from her as well.
Well, and then it sets
So,
the
yeah, we'll
tone
reach out, because we
and
told them we'd reach out after the
puts
October.
that information into the budget process, which will be coming up.
Yeah.
Helps people vote.
Yeah, so I think the finance committee would be happy with that too,
Yeah.
would be my guess, yeah.
Okay, the announcements, we didn't have any, this one was, we have another, this one's not on our agenda.
Right, I just wanted you to
Right.
announce it, it just came in, but I thought if you announced it, then maybe you could get people to send letters
Okay.
of interest, and then you could put it on the agenda next meeting if you wanted to, or do it as a not it's not an emergency, but we'd love to get it out there for letters of interest.
What is
So
this?
I'll just summarize a resignation from the Recreation Commission. Teresa Tippinuk
It's Hispanic.
is what's that?
It's Hispanic, is her name?
Tippinuk. That's how you say it.
Oh, really? You think so?
That's how she says
I don't know.
it. That's how kids
Oh,
growing
I
up
thought-
with his kids, so yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Tippinuk. So she's resigning from the Rec Commission for the last 5 years, and due to other obligations that she has going on, it's going to be effective immediately. So we're going to have a vacancy on the Rec Commission, a big vacancy, because Teresa has been amazing in filling some of the responsibilities there for as long. I mean,
She was the chair too,
Yeah,
right?
she was.
Oh, that's a huge
she was
hole.
great for doing a lot of things. We brought the Northfield flag football in, and she helped get that whole thing kicked off. And she's been huge for that whole commission. So hopefully somebody can step up to take that, because I know the rec commission definitely needs it. It's very busy, and a lot of kids in this town participate in a lot of the things that they put forward. So okay.
Wow. Well, thank you to Teresa.
Yeah, big thanks to Teresa.
Right, and we didn't, it's not on your business, so we'll have you accepted at your next meeting. We just thought if we could solicit, like, we don't want to leave the gap too long, that will be a month.
And we would also recommend citizen interest forms for the sewer commission, right?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to appoint for that, but I'm going to
Let's
check the legality on
Yes.
it.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Do you want to do a vote for Teresa?
They could,
Do we vote to accept it, or?
You did, Rob, so.
Oh,
well, she's not on the agenda technically, but I mean,
oh,
Next time?
next time, yeah.
and she should be on the next agenda. We just wanted to put in, there's going to be a vacancy.
That's
and-
the announcement part.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.